Hey, Mum.
Hiya, buddy. How you doing, love?
Hi, Ollie.
This is the daily routine in the Bridgman house. Kath and Andy in country Queensland, their son Oliver in the most dangerous country on earth.
We'll do whatever we can.
And hopefully nothing happens to me.
Yeah, it won't.
Well, you just be careful.
But we will get you home. Simple as that. One way or another.
Yes, no, it's fine.
Oliver Bridgman had been living a double life.
11 months ago, Oliver made shocking headlines when he turned up in Syria instead of returning home from a trip to Bali, leaving his devastated dad waiting for him at the airport. When you learned he was in Syria, how did you react?
Freaked. Panicked. Shock. Anger. Sadness. Tears. Uncontrollable tears. He's my friend. He's my son. And it was hard to comprehend why he would go there.
We were scared for him. We just had the biggest, worst nightmare that one day we'd see Oliver paraded in an orange jumpsuit. It was awful, wasn't it?
Oliver's path to Syria probably began when he converted to Islam in high school on the Gold Coast. On graduation, he spent schoolies working at an orphanage in Bali. But his plan all along, without telling his parents, was to head to one of the most war-torn parts of Syria.
Why? Why, of all the places in the world, why there? He said, no, because people need me.
They need it most.
And this is where they need me most.
But in Australia, the public judgment was simple and brutal. He was no aid worker. He'd become an enemy of the state.
As I know, I'm innocent. I've been doing aid work since day one. I've clearly stated the work that I'm doing here.
Half an hour from Aleppo, in a rebel-held area of northern Syria, Oliver Bridgman sat down to talk to me. So before you entered Syria and after you arrived there, was your intention ever to fight?
No, it wasn't. I came here strictly for the people of Syria. I didn't tell my parents because obviously I knew they would prevent me from going. And obviously that was a hard decision for me. But as soon as I arrived here in Syria, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I saw the people, the suffering of the people. And so, these people needed my help.
Oliver maintains that is all he has been doing these past 11 months, helping refugees and others affected by this war. And he has done so knowing that just by being in Syria, he may have fallen foul of Australia's new anti-terrorism laws, despite pledging to cooperate with authorities here. When you were happy to deal with the Australian authorities, was that with an understanding that you may in fact go to jail back here?
No, obviously I haven't broken any rules that go against the Australian government. So, I haven't done anything wrong, so I wasn't worried about going to jail because, as far as I know, I'm innocent.
But the Australian government and the Australian Federal Police clearly think otherwise. 4 weeks ago, on ASIO advice that he was a national security risk, the government cancelled Oliver Bridgman's passport. Then, 2 weeks later, the Federal Police followed up with a warrant for his arrest, claiming that he'd entered Syria intending to commit hostile acts. Serious allegations with serious consequences, but what has shattered the Bridgmans is the timing. Authorities had nearly a year to act, but the Bridgmans believe chose to do so only when Oliver told them he was coming home, just over a month ago.
Why didn't they do it 10 months ago or 6 months ago? Why was it done when we said that he was coming home?
Well, how close was he to coming home?
Very close. In fact, we were about to book the tickets.
When I saw it, I was shocked.
It was a plan made with the knowledge and encouragement of the AFP.
We're not going to let it go, love.
Yeah. We would have handed him basically on a plate to the authorities.
Well, perhaps the authorities didn't believe that. And perhaps the authorities didn't think he was a safe bet to come home on his own.
We said to the Federal Police, if anything that you want us to do, we'll do it. We were so open about it, we couldn't be any more open.
In cancelling his passport, ASIO alleges that Oliver went to Syria for the purpose of engaging in or supporting politically motivated violence. As part of their assessment, ASIO relied on media reports that Oliver was suspected of having joined a terrorist organisation, believed to be the Al-Qaeda-linked Al-Nusra. For you to do the work you claim to be doing, have you had to join a prescribed terrorist group? Have you joined Al-Nusra in any way? As a fighter, as a supporter, are you linked to them in any way?
No, I haven't picked up any guns. I haven't been in any training camps. I want nothing to do with them. So strictly my work here is humanitarian purposes. I have no links or anything to do with these terrorist organisations in participating in the fighting or anything like that.
You know, this is clearly an incredibly serious issue, incredibly serious allegations. This is also an incredibly serious organisation. It's ASIO. They're telling us that this man is a security risk. They're telling us that he has links to a terrorist organisation. Shouldn't we trust them? Even if they're not giving us all their intelligence, should we not trust them?
No.
No, not at all. They could have asked him all these questions if they just allowed him to come home.
While ASIO doesn't have to reveal all of its intelligence, what it has chosen to release backs Oliver's claim that all he's been doing in Syria is humanitarian work, as do his year-long Facebook posts.
Assalamu guys, brother here, Yusuf from live updates from Syria. Today we have been distributed some food boxes from our nation. Over here we also have 100 jackets that have been sent, and also we got 5,000 litres of fuel that has been distributed.
Does any part of you allow yourself to think that maybe what we're seeing here is propaganda? That all
He's not
this,
like an actor.
well, all this is about presenting himself as a humanitarian worker, when in fact he's involved in violence.
Not a chance.
No.
Not a chance.
Well, what he's doing there, he's promoting they need help. Purely simple, that is it. Nothing else.
They don't know that we've got this food, it's a surprise to them.
In post after post, Oliver has only presented the humanitarian side of this war. He has never even posted photos of himself with weaponry, unlike other Australians who, to date, still have their passports.
I feel really bad that, that's all we can do for them, so...
If he was involved in all that, would you be here talking to me?
If Oliver was involved in that, then the family that we are, we would say, well, then he deserves everything that's going to come to him. We're a very moralistic family. Now, if he doesn't know the rights from wrong, and then he's got to lay in that bed. But he's not doing it. We know our son.
But the AFP claims to know otherwise. Their arrest warrant of last week is for a crime of thought, not action. They want to take Oliver into custody, not for anything he's actually done, but for what his intentions were when he entered Syria 11 months ago. They say he came to this war zone to commit hostile acts, and for that could face life in prison. The AFP would argue that his intention when he went to Syria was not to help, it was not to give aid, it was to do something else. That's what this arrest warrant is all about.
You know, his intention was to go and aid.
Clearly they must have evidence to suggest that that was not his intention.
When they went through our computers, they have told us and that he was researching hospitals and charities in Syria before he went. That was always Ollie's intention, to go over there to help. Whether he said something, being an 18-year-old indestructible kid, I might want to do something else. The fact of the matter is, he's done nothing else. All he's done is what he set out to do in the first place.
I'm not a violent person, I'm not a criminal or anything like that. I'm a nice guy. I don't want to participate in the fighting. I have no intention of participating in the fighting.
Believe him or otherwise, the Bridgmans argue that by cancelling his passport on the eve of returning home, the authorities have cruelly stranded Oliver in Syria and, without evidence, branded him a terrorist. Could this cancellation mean that Oliver Bridgman is a terrorist?
I don't see any reason to leap into the conclusion that Oliver has been a terrorist, would be a terrorist, is about to do something bad.
It may seem a contradiction, But security experts like Greg Barton from Deakin University believe that this, in fact, could all be a tactic by authorities to get Oliver home safely.
But I think there are reasons to be concerned for his safety, and there's reasons to be concerned about groups that might try and use him. I mean, that doesn't...
Barton says cancelling Oliver's passport prevents terrorist groups coercing him to travel to other Western countries and doing harm. With no valid passport, once Oliver's out of Syria, he'll be immediately deported to Australia.
If that's really the reason why ASIO has cancelled his passport, not because he's a threat, but that he's under threat, who's he under threat from?
Well, he's in an area that's full of threats. You know, the issue you've got to be concerned about is his safety and who might try and intervene, take hold of him physically or influence him psychologically and use him for their own purposes.
But sitting in Syria, Oliver feels trapped.
I had no option but to stay, and obviously that puts me in a very dangerous situation here. I'll be alone in a country where the Russians are bombing and possibility of being captured or even killed.
Oliver, does it concern you that much of Australia doesn't care? That, you know, that you've put yourself in this position? That, you know, you made the choice to go there. This is your lot in life.
You know, I would like to think that, no, I get a good support from the people back home. So the work that I'm doing here, I believe it coexists with the Australian culture.
Do you think he'll come home and be a free man, ultimately?
Look, I think when his story is heard and the evidence is weighed up, it's quite likely that he'll be able to get on with his life and go off in a fresh direction. You know, they don't have a smoking gun, they don't have damning evidence of him being associated with a terrorist group. You know, this is a naive, idealistic young kid whose story stacks up.
Whatever you think of Oliver Bridgman, you can't help but feel sympathy for his parents.
Hang on.
Kath and Andy accept their son must face the music, but still fear the government's actions could mean they'll lose him forever, when just a few short weeks ago, he was coming back to them.
We've done nothing wrong. We're a good family. We've been respectful. We obey the law. He was probably a young, naive kid that just wanted to change the world. Now, if he's going to be penalised because he's helping people, then we haven't got a lot left in this world to celebrate, really, have we? If the government thinks that's a crime, then there's nothing left, really.
I think we just want to, just because he made that decision to go to Syria doesn't mean he's a bad person.
Hello, I'm Tara Brown. Thanks for watching. To keep up with the latest from 60 Minutes Australia, make sure you subscribe to our channel. You can also download the 9Now app for full episodes and other exclusive 60 Minutes content.